ist Februar 2025 und die Anne ist wieder da. Und heute begrüße ich zwei internationale Gäste bei uns, die zum 6. Symphoniekonzert extra aus der ganzen Welt, aus England und aus Amerika angereist sind. Das ist wirklich eine ganz spezielle Situation für mich persönlich, weil das war ein sehr langer Vorbereitungsweg für dieses Konzert. Wir haben heute eine britische Komponistin Errollyn Wallen. Sie trägt auch seit kurzem den Titel The Master of the King's Music. Darüber sprechen wir. Und wir haben auch Master of the Violin. Philippe Quint, der war bei uns schon vor ein paar Jahren. Der hat hier auch Kongold und Chaplin gespielt. Und heute werden wir eine deutsche erste Aufführung von dem Violinkonzert von Errollyn Wallen hier spielen, die sie extra für Philippe Quint komponiert hat. Und wir als Magdeburgische Philharmonie sind auch Ko-Auftraggeber für dieses Violinkonzert, also mit anderen internationalen Orchestern aus Amerika und aus England. Und wir freuen uns darauf. Hi Errollyn, hi Philippe. Very welcome in Magdeburg. I'm really glad to have you both here because it was a long journey to bring this project together, and finally in Magdeburg. We arrived in Magdeburg. So you have the premiere has already happened how many months ago?
Almost a year. Yeah. Almost a year.
Almost a year ago it was the premiere of this concerto, and then this is the 16th or 17th performance or 18th?
About.
Yes. Yeah. So many orchestras have already played this concerto. But first of all, I am really interested. What does it mean to be the master of the king's music? Because we don't have this in Europe.
Well, it was such a surprise, and this all happened. It was announced in August. I was just received a phone call from the palace saying, "Would you become the master of the king's music?" It's a title that goes back to the 17th century, where originally that musician would be in charge of the monarch's band. Mm-hmm. Now it means somebody who can be called upon to write for royal occasions, but I also see it very much as an ambassadorial role, so to advocate for music, for access to education, strong music education for all children, and to sort of increase the awareness of composition and encourage everybody to take part in music. Yeah. So I often have to speak about things, you know, and visit places. And it's a 10-year-old, so in that time I want to also increase links with the Commonwealth.
So there is no specific concept that you are also a part of developing of ideas and how to communicate music to the society, and but is it also that the king can ask you to compose something for a special event or something like this?
Yes, and in effect, I'm a member of the royal household. You know, it's an archaic title, so I can sort of mould the role to what I want to do. So I have a lot of freedom. But it's very interesting that people treat me very differently now. But in my role of composer beforehand, I was always speaking about, you know, my enthusiasm for music and the fact that more people should be taking part in it.
Yeah, because you also, I mean, you have composed so many pieces. How many operas, by the way?
I'm writing my 23rd now.
23rd operas, my God, and ballets.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I mean, you wrote so a lot of music already, but you're also a performing artist.
Yes.
You're singing, you're playing, you have your own band.
Little band,
yeah.
sometimes.
And you're also writing books. I mean, and this is what I really love in the people, like also in Philippe, because you are also so. You are not just violin player. You are producing so many great projects.
Yeah.
How did you get this idea to ask Errollyn to write, to compose a violin concerto for you? The first question. The second question, it's to get the idea to ask a composer, can you write something for me?
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful to be here for the second time. You and I go way back.
Yes.
Many years. We won't say how many.
Yeah.
And it was incredible to finally reunite 2 years ago on stage after having a career worldwide and finally be together on stage creating music, making music, and in such lovely repertoire as was Korngold and Chaplin. And I think once we were able to collaborate and obviously greatly enjoyed the experience, when this commission started to percolate, just the very initial steps, I wanted to bring this commission with people that, first of all, I trust, love, know for a long time, and make it a family affair in many ways. But now, diverting from the commission to how it started. First of all, I find it tremendously important to champion new music.
Absolutely.
I believe that it is one of the greatest responsibilities of us as artists, musicians, and ambassadors. Errollyn used that word beautifully just earlier today. Being an ambassador for what we do and what we love. And premiering and championing new music, I think, is one of the essential ingredients of how music survives. We have to remember one important factor, that at some point, Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart, they were contemporary composers.
Yeah, this is what I'm always saying, you know, and that's why I'm always exciting to work with contemporary composers, because this collaboration, this sharing the ideas, and also to be able to be the part of this process, to make the traditions for the pieces which maybe in 50 or maybe also in 100 years will be classical music, and we were part of to put the tradition
of bringing this music into the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is no greater responsibility, and there is also no greater adventure than bringing a project like this together. So I first heard Errollyn's music in a music video out of all the places, but it was a very short piece for violin and handpan. And I kept listening to this work on repeat. And at some point, the music was stuck in my mind, and I started playing it on violin, just automatically. And then I was curious who wrote this piece. I didn't know it was Errollyn.
Okay, so it was by
yeah, I first heard the music.
Yeah, okay.
I first heard the music.
It's the best way, isn't it?
Yeah. And for me, you know, again, you know, there are a lot of wonderful composers living today, and I've performed so many and premiered a lot of works, but it takes me a long time to really have affinity for somebody. So I really look for an immediate chemistry.
Yes.
If I feel that spark,
yes.
something original, something fresh, something that I haven't heard before. And that was that little piece, actually. That's kind of, you know, stole my heart. The first step of stealing my heart, let's put it this way. But then the second step was that once I knew that it was written by Errollyn Wallen, I made a very big research on her music, on who she was, and everything that she has written that was available on social media platforms.
It's very important too nowadays. Yeah.
And of course, I was very curious about her string writing.
Yes.
And luckily, there was plenty of string repertoire, but also sweeping, romantic, beautiful melodies, but nothing like I've ever heard before.
Yeah, but in a modern way.
In a modern way, yes. In a very, very contemporary, very authentic. This is the word.
Yes.
This is the word that I love.
Yes.
Authentic.
Yeah.
It's like nothing else that you've heard before. And of course, you know, I didn't know Errollyn personally, so I wrote an email just to see, you know, how busy she was and if violin concerto would be of interest. And luckily, Errollyn said that that would be an interesting project.
What was your idea? Of course, when you get such a request, violin concerto, of course, I mean, this is a big work.
Yes,
and
a big work.
Yeah, how was
I always think about what I've done before, what I can bring to something, and I had never composed a violin concerto.
Yeah, this is your first violin concerto.
I feel as if I'm not a natural string writer, but, you know, I did study violin and viola, so it's like, I just think this would be a tremendous journey to actually write for virtuoso. That was interesting to me, especially with the concerto grosso. These forms, concerto, to me, are dramatic forms, and with my interest in opera, I was very excited to see what I could do with this.
Yeah. The next very interesting step, which is really interesting, when you're writing, especially for a musician, for a certain musician, and this concerto, when I was asking you, and I know you also from our childhood, there is so much about you, ideas and musical ideas. So, but you didn't know the person.
No, I didn't know.
How is it possible to write a music for somebody and just to get this person into your music?
Because I didn't meet Philippe until the rehearsal for the first.
Until the commission was secured.
Yes, we spoke on the phone, and do you know something? When I speak to somebody, I think about the person with the sound of their voice. You know, Philippe is very humorous, and it's as if we were instantly, we had this easy relationship.
Yeah, very easy rapport.
And then when I was composing the work, I mean, that's always a hard place to start. And during the time of composing it, Philippe and I would speak, but we would never Zoom. We would just speak. Philippe would play back some things I'd written. And that was very useful for me. I felt there was this open dialogue, and Philippe was very frank. If something's working, he would say, and he'd make suggestions. And it was and it remains very easy.
Did you tell Errollyn some stories from your life just to inspire her?
I always felt that someone like Errollyn does not really need inspiration. It's just a matter of sort of sitting at the desk or at the piano and just starting to write the piece. And I kept saying that, but Errollyn actually insisted that we really discussed my childhood and what happened and sort of the trajectory of my musical journey up to a certain point, because she wanted to know if this is something that could end up in a score. Not necessarily that we're going to put this story or that story. But at the end, I felt that the piece became a greatly collaborative work that really implements a lot of traces, of my childhood and my persona, but it has so much of Errollyn as well.
This is very interesting, and in this concerto there are a lot of different musical material
and styles. Even.
And this is why I find these concertos very interesting, especially.
I actually really like the word that one of the newspapers use. They call it an eclectic concerto, which is such a perfect way to describe this piece.
Absolutely. There is also some Stravinsky. There is also some.
Just a very quote.
Yes, there is something majestic, like King's music. There is also some kind of Broadway. I mean,
a bit of jazziness.
Yes, and there is also something Jewish. I mean, in the second movement, there's this melody.
I remember when I was writing the second movement, I had the opening, and that's when I called Philippe and I said, "Is there anything in your childhood you remember singing that was important to you?" And Philippe said,
it was a lullaby that my grandfather used to sing, which is called Schlaf mein Vögele.
So this is the chord, this is the melody.
And this is Yiddish. And I was very curious how Errollyn was going to implement it in the score, and I found the choice was actually very, again, original, authentic, and fresh, to actually use pretty much the entire beginning of the song the way it is, which is used in a score with the harp. It's a duet with a harp, which comes out of nowhere. It's shocking. And then, of course, there is a variation on that lullaby to end the movement. So I don't want to actually spoil all the surprises, because I love that part is an incredible surprise, as many others. So, for me, it's an important moment, of course, because it's so personal. And of course, I think of my grandfather who raised me, as you probably know, and, him singing that lullaby to me so I could fall asleep. And I hope it doesn't happen with the audience.
So I think this is the good point, because today we have our first rehearsal with the orchestra, and I'm really excited about this. Ich freue mich sehr, wenn Sie auch unseren Konzerten folgen, Donnerstag und Freitag, wie immer. Und also das ist wirklich eine einzigartige Möglichkeit, dieses Konzert in Deutschland zu hören. Kommen Sie einfach ins Konzert und wir freuen uns.